Yeah. I know. I thought it was brand new.
Yeah, I recall.
No.
Somebody hasn't had that situation.
All right, folks, it is 6 p.m. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll try and make this fast since we have some nasty weather heading our way, I think. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hazelhurst. Here. Mr. Haverly.
Here.
Mr. Mulholland.
Here.
Dr. Greenlee.
Here.
Stacy Corder. Jib Nolan.
Here.
Heather Walsh. Kelly Hanneman. Kelly Hawk. Dean Schultz.
Here.
Chad Cunningham. Sarah Eistat. Here.
All right, audience to visitors. We do have a couple cards tonight. Mr. McKibben.
Sure, now you tell me you guys are in a hurry to get out of here. So, I'm going to apologize in advance that this is going to probably sound like a letter because it was a letter I wrote last October, but I did not send it. Again, my name is Kelly McKibben. This past spring, this last year, I had the privilege of serving as assistant coach for the North Boone High School's boys track and field program. Prior to that, I was assistant coach at Rockford Christian High School for 13 years, and I've coached USATF and AAU summer track with the Rockford Fire. I'm also a USATF Level 1 certified coach. I'd like to share my concerns regarding North Boone's athletics facility, specifically the lack of a safe and appropriate running track. The current track is shared by the high school boys and girls, middle school co-ed, as well as the unified track teams, oftentimes simultaneously. Last year we actually had 80 kids trying to train out there. I encourage the school board and these committee members and any administrators or other stakeholders to take some time and inspect the track facility in regards to its safety and suitability for training. To be candid, North Boone does not have a track, has never had a track, but rather you have an asphalt surface in the general shape of a running track. While asphalt is often used in underlayment and base for a synthetic all-weather track surface, it is never an appropriate surface for training or competition. Asphalt is hard and unforgiving while also prohibiting athletes from practicing in spikes. The hard surface presents serious risks when athletes inevitably fall and exacerbates the risk of shin splints and stress fractures while training. Spikes are an essential part of safety and performance on the track, especially with rain or moisture present. The fact that the existing surface is decayed and separating, leaving large open cracks, is disconcerting. The boys program avoided using the track, electing to train on the grass or to use meets as an opportunity to practice at other schools' facilities. In fact, I did 0 hurdle workouts at North Boone last year, and we had a state qualifier to 300 hurdles, but we did all our work somewhere else. The existing long and triple jump runway is also unsuitable, requiring a temporary rubber surface to cover the decaying asphalt. The facility lacks a high jump apron and a pole vault runway, forcing athletes to train for high jump on the grass on the football field, while pole vaulters must train off campus. Proper throw rings and sectors are also not present, and the lack of an NFHS compliant safety cage for the discus is a serious concern. Fortunately, Belvedere North High School is gracious enough to allow the North Boone track athletes, including our school record in state qualifying 4x1 and 4x2 relays and our state qualifying 300-meter hurdler, to train at their facilities along with the pole vaulters this last season. I am not confident that the relays nor the hurdler would have qualified for state had they been limited to practicing at our current facilities. North Boone simply does not have a safe and appropriate facility to train in. Hosting home meets is out of the question. Coaches now face the unenviable task of trying to qualify athletes for the state track meet in 2A, which has enrollments up to 1,232 students for at least the next 2 seasons. 2A qualifying scenarios are more challenging, while competing against schools with enrollments 3 times that of North Boone at sectionals will be a task. It's unclear how the coaches are supposed to approach this challenge without a facility to practice and train. I'm unaware of any other athletic program at North Boone that does not have a safe and suitable practice environment. Understanding that a running track has long been a part of the proposed stadium project, I encourage the district to consider the removal of the existing asphalt surface and replace it with a regulation 400-meter synthetic all-weather running track. Horizontal jump runways, pits, high jump aprons, pole vault, throwing sectors and stuff should also be considered. Either this could be an interim or permanent solution. It would provide for an immediate need for a safe and suitable training environment for the high school and middle school track programs, Should a new high school stadium ultimately be constructed and the middle school, the current track area retained, the middle school and upper elementary children could continue to utilize the facility for practice and competitions, providing a long-term return on the district's investments. Although a 6-lane track would be preferred, a 4-lane track would provide an adequate place to train and to potentially host home track meets. And I know that is going to be contentious, and I'll address that in a minute. So here we are. I'd like to clarify a couple misunderstandings and misconceptions. North Boone could, in fact, host home track meets on a 4-lane track. There is no IHSA or NFHS regulation that prohibits holding competitions on a 4-lane track, so long as it's a 400-meter track and it has the appropriate lane widths. The IHSA does not require an 8-lane track to host sectionals. I've coached at sectionals on 6-lane tracks, including Freeport. Byron, Dixon, Rockford Lutheran, Stillman Valley, Freeport, Boylan, Hononegah, Harlem, Harvard, Belvedere South Middle School, Belvedere Central Middle School all have 6-lane tracks. And I think some of those programs are pretty successful because they have a place to train and compete. It is my hope that the merits of my concerns will be considered and that an alternative solution will be explored to resolve this issue with the current track and field facilities, hopefully in the short term. I do have a letter from the an email from the IHSA confirming that we could host home track meets on a 4-lane track and that we could host sectionals on a 6-lane track. 8-lane tracks are preferred. It's obviously for time and everything else. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. McKibben.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Randall, you're up. Thank you for coming tonight.
I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work. Keep track of the storm. It looked nasty, and have a good night.
Thank you, sir. We will do so. All right, that completes our audience to visitors and brings us to the SWOT analysis review.
Yeah, nothing with this other than informational, and this is the completed SWOT analysis that we did at our last meeting. This is one where I wanted to just make sure that everybody saw again the priorities that were established that night, and then just having gone through it and looked through a lot of the information that was placed in each of those designers' sides of things. The one thing that jumped out to me was placement mattered. The group felt very strong about fields being lumped together, maximizing possibly even growing parking, as long as making sure that our public amenities were lined up for concessions, bathrooms, and workable, usable spaces for both sports and for seasons. So that was the big thing that jumped out at us in the district office. This is something that we would share with whoever we start to move forward with design work as we move forward with that. So, take any questions, comments, or thoughts on that SWOT analysis, but it was mainly informational. Wanted to make sure that everybody saw the final product from what was developed that night.
Okay. And for our audience's benefit, we met with 3, was it 3 or 4?
3.
We met with 3 groups that presented some plans to us, and we looked at the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities of each of those plans. So that's what a SWOT analysis was. Cashman Installer, Erickson, and Byrne and Jones. Okay. Any other questions?
Just a quick one on my side. Do we have a time frame we're marching towards on coming to a decision, or
I don't think
what
we've
the next?
begun to put
We have
together
not put a
timeline.
time frame together, but kind of what you're speaking to, Tom, will take the next 2 agenda items into effect as we start to look at all of the things that need to be done. Basically, as we stare at equity of resources, making sure that we address all building/athletic fields and all issues that go. So the next 2 items kind of fall hand in hand. That
Sure.
will walk into designing the grand plan for that, if that's okay.
Okay.
Right, and so that would then bring us into our 10-year life safety survey.
Yeah, and so the 10-year life safety, I'm going to roll these 2 together, and the future building projects. Our 10-year life safety is up again in 2026. We did the last one in 16. Dean and Jim are going to present our future building projects that we know we see on the horizon. One of the things that I'm going to recommend to our committee is to move forward also with the 10-year life safety survey. If we look at making sure that we are taking care of all of our facilities, both school buildings, playgrounds, athletic facilities and everything, all of these needs need to be kind of taken into effect. If we start to roll a plan together and leave the 10-year life safety out, the moment we walk into a 10-year life safety plan, they will start establishing timelines of some of these projects that need to be done within buildings. So I think it's important that that be part of that piece as we start to plan moving forward for a long-term facilities plan. So I'll start there. Like I said, my recommendation would be is that we go out a year early and start to begin that 10-year life safety survey now, so that that can also be worked into some of the future building projects that Jim and Dean are going to go over. So, Joe, if you're okay, I'll turn it over to Jim and Dean. They have got pages here for the next several years of what they see is due in all of our buildings and across the district that they'll walk through, and we'll take questions and comments as we go.
Okay.
Get consensus on the 10-year life safety, bringing it a year early.
Do you want to go, should we go through this and then at the very end come back and see if there's consensus there? Or do you want to do it now?
So we want to go to next item, so listen to the projects.
Yeah, let's listen to the projects, and then hopefully everybody kind of understand then why you want to walk into that
Okay.
life safety survey, because those will be projects that get added to this list as well. So,
Okay.
Jim, Dean, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. This is the 2023, and I got into the 2027 we put together. The first one we start out with here is replacing rooftop condensers and coils in a rotation of 12, 3 a year at the high school. There, right now, high school's 21 years old right now. And at some point, that's going to come to end of life. So that's something that we have to put on the agenda here. I got the Manchester replacing carpets for $50,000. Middle school and upper elementary, pavement improvements. And I put this on here because our high traffic area right now for this district is the route between the middle school and the upper elementary. It's the basic bus route. So at some point, that's starting to fail, and that's going to need to be addressed sooner than later. Excuse me. Capron, I put this on here to start this process as everybody's going, everybody knows that LED lights now are, we're getting out of the old fluorescent tube types. So I've started to inquire these in there and changing these schools over one at a time. It's a kind of a drawn out process, but I think it's something that we need to look into and start capitalizing on what they're going to give us for this. So I've had Capron on here for upgrade interior lighting, that's hallways, classrooms, etc. And I also have Manchester for upgrading lighting to LEDs. And that would be, and that's just, it's tentative. Jim, can you go to the 24?
Hold on, yeah, so,
Go ahead.
So we'll I want to go down there too. What we put in yellow is, guys, these are placeholders. We have not had these officially bid. These are our best guess as to what those might cost. Obviously, when you get into a bidding situation, it's probably different than that, but we try to use these placeholders as we're budgeting or planning for projects with an idea of what we're getting into, so that we budget accordingly. So I think it might be easiest to just go stop after each page. Is there questions on the first page? The big one there is, of course, that top one with the rooftop condensers that are 21 years old on the top of the high schools, and there's 12 of them up there. Our
But that's the
guess
price
is-
for 3.
Yeah, that's
So it'd
only
be $1 million.
planned for 3. We kind of think they're roughly about 80,000 a piece up there for each of those air conditioning units, and there's 12 of them up on the top of that building.
So as far as LEDs go too, is there any programs out there that we can take advantage of to help?
There sure is. There's ComEd runs them.
Yeah.
I actually, right now, I'm in the talks with our supplier from Batteries Plus,
Okay.
and she's working up a program. She worked on, I think, 4 schools in Bourbonnais, and she said that process is still underway. It's been about year 5 to try to switch everything over, because you have such a short span of time, in the summer to try to complete it all, you know. So, and I'm kind of getting some feedback from her, but yes, I've dealt with ComEd twice. They'll give you rebates back on it, you know, on both the front end and the back end, on however we decide we want to do it. But I just wanted to get the ball rolling on that and say, hey, let's do this, let's put this on the spectrum so we know what, you know, at some point, the fluorescent bulbs are gonna be gone. You guys see it right now. I mean, everybody right now goes to their house and buys LED lights now. You don't buy a fluorescent light anymore. So it's gonna happen sooner than later. I just wanna make sure that we capture what we can and save us money on this side, and then instead of costing us money on the back side. So that's my thought process behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll be saving on electricity too, and
Yep,
it'll be
certainly.
substantial here.
And that's what I mean on the backside. So
Yeah.
once, you know, it might cost you something forward, but, you know, we save it in the long run. It's not an overnight savings, but we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think they have tubes where you don't have to change the ballast out anymore. You just
Yep.
slap the
Yeah,
LED tubes in there and
yep.
whether ballast is there or not, so.
Exactly right.
I guess I got a question.
Yep.
If we did this in 2016, and we knew this is a 10-year plan, this is the first I've ever seen of any of this, have we reserved anything for all these items when we are coming down the pike?
Each
This
year,
is-
we budget, gosh, what is it, like $500,000 towards projects each summer.
Where would that, what fund would that be at? Is that going to be in site construction? Or is that gonna be-
Usually, capital improvements or O&M is usually the two. that we
O&M, I
pull it
think
from,
it is.
yeah.
Because that's my question. We had about 1.5 in that, in the site construction capital improvements, we interchanged those.
Mhm.
We depleted that down to 94,000, and now we just bumped it up last month by about 700,000, not quite sure how. My concern is that count is getting depleted, it's been halved. It was about, what was 1,215, 1,215, we're now at about 400,000 or 500,000. Have we pulled from that account for other items?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that right now, but I know that we are also staring at that. Some of this would be bills that go into next year as we go to budget, but I also know that this year we've got to take a look and see where we're at now. But yeah, I wouldn't have those answers for you now, Nancy, but I could get those for you.
Was that the O&M fund or capital improvement funds or?
No, we've been pulling everything out of site construction. We used to call it capital improvement, we call it, I don't know what changed.
So Nancy, if I were to write this down, are you questioning for this year what's left, or are you questioning into next year, or both?
I'm questioning this year right now, as of last month, we had 94,000 in that account.
Okay.
And 94 and some change. We typically run 1,215.
Yep.
All of a sudden, that account got depleted drastically. So if that's where these reserves are, I'm concerned. I want to know if there's earmarked 200,000 a year, what account is it, so we know where we're at?
Okay.
Because I'm assuming it's in that, but it could be a different one, it could be in O&M. I would just like to know where it is so we can see, have we used it, have we not, just so we know what we can.
I'll get a clarification for you on it. Thank you.
Any other questions for page 1?
All right, moving on to page 2 here. At the middle school, we got pavement improvements for the parking lot there. That's one that's on the spectrum here too. Again, we're gonna add in at high school, another total of 3 and a rotation of 12 for condensers and coils. Excuse me. High school, the life skills room on that. High school, PA clock, PA system and clocks, et cetera. High school gym floor redo, that is as of sanctioned for this summer right now. Carpet replacements at Poplar Grove, that's on the spectrum for 24-25. I added Poplar Grove and the UE for the LED lights to make this into the second year of LEDs, to switching everything over for them 2 schools. Upper elementary, replacement of the elementary roof. That was estimated to be replaced back in 2020 before I got here, looking back at the years on that. So I put this in there as a placeholder. The upper elementary playground, on that, to upgrade that. Upper elementary life skills room. Middle school PA and clock system also.
Let me back up one second
Yep.
there. UE, and just to clarify a little bit, the UE life skill room and the high school life skill rooms. Both of them right now, especially the life skills room at the high school, does not have a bathroom that is fit for life skills for us to, just with some of the changing needs and stuff that we want, so we need to upgrade those. The UE has a bathroom, the high school does not. The UE's bathroom does not have a proper facilities to be able to change students within there. And as our populations grow, and we're getting more and more life skills within these rooms, these are something that we're gonna need to have. And in the line, and in the help, in the hopes of things here too, we can start to bring students back here, and house students within our own programs and not have to have special outplacements, for some of these, needs. So, sorry, Jim.
No, you're good, you're good. And I went through the middle school PA and clock system to upgrade that. And then I put on here, upgrade two-way radios to digital. That's one I put on there as a placeholder. I'm not sure if they're gonna let you go to analog anymore. If they decide everybody's gotta go to digital, I'm not sure how it's gonna work. I just put it on there as, I didn't wanna get caught in the middle of something that we don't have the correct communication throughout the district, as far as in schools. And I think the bus route, or the transportation also runs it, so I put that as a placeholder on there too. Any questions with that page? Or concerns, or?
I got-
We get Nancy's got it.
Shoot.
Sorry.
No.
I thought we did the PAs and the clocks and we did the new phones.
No, it's PAs and clocks are not done. We
Okay.
do have a new
It's
phone
compatible.
system.
It was
We got-
talked about that the PAs and clocks would be compatible with the system that we put in.
Oh,
Can
we
be,
did the
yeah.
phone, we didn't,
Yeah.
So
okay.
we
Good
put a
catch.
system in place that can accept what's out there now, the new stuff.
Yep,
Thank you.
good catch.
So Mike,
Okay. Oh, anything
Follow-up
else?
question, Mike, as far as bringing students back to the life skills program, what's a rough estimate per student that we're paying now for outplaced students?
Anywhere from 30 to 40,000 per student.
A year?
So, yeah, and a year. And so that would, if we could bring some of those students back, that would help offset some of our outplaced
So
costs
if we
that
get one or two
rose,
students back, that could make
that rose significantly.
shape for that improvement.
And so that is one of the things we're focusing on as an effort to try to do.
Is there any grants out there too we can be applying for that?
A lot of this will come back through the special ed money and Medicaid and stuff like that. Next page, Jim.
Okay, good. All right. Next page, district office, fence bunds parking lot. High school, another three in a rotation of 12 on that. Manchester parking lot improvements. Middle school upgrade interior LEDs, and the high school upgrade interior LEDs. At Capron, it is replacement of the Bryant water heater that runs at Capron. Poplar Grove, PA and clock system. Middle school roof, cafeteria, multi-purpose room. That's an estimate due date of 2021. So I added this in here. We haven't had any issues with it, so, I mean, I just added it so we have a placeholder for it. UE, PA and clocks, Capron PA and clocks, and then I have the Capron Middle School, or Capron Elementary School playgrounds to revise them. Any questions with that page? Okay, moving on to the last one here. At the middle school, a hot water boiler tank, we'll need to that's due for a renewal. Middle school, I had on there the generator room for the network that runs the district. I know there's been talks about it, so I had this on here also. AC for that same room. And then I got Manchester main lower roof is up for a redo, and the main upper roof at Manchester We will start the PGE HVAC air handlers. There's 6 total units. We'll do 3 per year on that, starting 3 this year and then 3 the following. And then upper elementary, domestic hot water heater. And that takes us into the year of 27. Any questions with that page?
When were these roofs put in? Do you know?
I can pull it for you. I don't know off the top of my head. When we go through them, I have it laid out in a list.
Yeah, next time we go through this, maybe put the dates at the, the
Yeah,
heavy.
and that's the only one I
equipment
didn't
in there.
have. I had the other one, but I'll pull it back up.
You don't have to do that now, just next time we're going through it, so.
I guess my only question is, if you just rough total those up, we're looking 6 million in face,
Yeah, it's a lot.
and we haven't tackled anything about a track.
I know.
So, I think I'd like to see, and it may not be, so, where's everything? Where's everything that we need so we can prioritize and say, hey, this is what we need? Because I feel like this did a great job with the buildings and that part, but we haven't addressed anything about that.
And then the piece, that I agree with you, it's overwhelming when you look at it. The other piece too is the life safety side of things, when they come in and they go deep into the structural, the electrical, the plumbing and everything else. Because when they come back with their recommendations, they'll give you a year, a 5-year, sometimes a 3, sometimes a 5, of things that they're gonna say have to be replaced. So that's also gotta walk into this list, because all of a sudden you start plugging the 1s and the 3s in there, and this domino effect starts with anything and everything, so.
I guess that's why I'm saying, where's our reserves? We've known this, as a board, we've known this for, as you said, 2016, now in 2023. We better have reserves for that, or if we don't, we gotta know that now and later, because we can't plan for a track, we can't plan for anything. If we're looking at that and everything else, we have to have everything.
We have to have
I would
everything.
get that.
I would agree with you.
That's my concern. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Oh, I'm not saying that's at all, I just would like to see everything where we're at.
I understand.
Mike, can you speak, I don't remember the phrase you used, but fiscally equitable? Is that the phrase you used at the beginning of this?
When we talked equity of resources.
Equity of resources, okay. And so I kind of want to
And
again.
when we kind of talked about that with our priorities of when we did that SWOT analysis, it was about saying, okay, all schools need to be looked at, all athletic facilities, all building facilities, all things need to be continually be addressed. Don't let something slide backwards in an effort to get something else. So that's kind of that's the way I've stared at it, and I hope that that's the way everybody else interpreted it, if I'm wrong on that.
Right.
But that was why I was like, okay, when we point that out, this list that Jim and Dean know right up front that they're looking at, and then if the life safety comes in with whatever they bring back, that stuff all has to be considered in there as we try to pace this, and like Nancy said, put some of this stuff to the finances and how are we gonna pay for this and in what time frame. And put a plan together with it.
I think the majority of the board members came on just after the big original stadium plan. We got on board and then realized how many of these things were draining our resources and made us decide what our priority list was and kept us from moving forward. We've been talking about lots. We've been talking about air conditioners that are end of life and roofs. I'm starting to believe we're making up roofs because it seems like we're always fixing roofs. I don't know how we could possibly still have more roofs to do,
We've
but I
been
guess
in
we do.
a nice little window here where we haven't been addressing them, but again, it doesn't take long for then the next cycle of that stuff to come about.
Right.
And, I in the last life safety survey, we addressed a lot of roofing across the district.
So in the life safety too, when we have them come in, what kind of a turnaround can we expect to have some information? Because really, I mean, that could throw a wrench into all of this. It'd be a really good idea to have, I think it's a great idea to do it a year ahead of time.
What I
so
would
we
do,
start planning for things.
if the committee tells me to, I would just bring it to the board to have it directed in March, and then I'd tell our architect to get started on it.
So if we do it a year ahead of time, we still have a year before we have to start working on that, or do we have to start addressing
They
those
work
things
with
right
you
away?
on when they kind of file it, so that and maybe you guys know better than I do, but they will work with you a little bit on when they file it for when that year starts. You know, that they try to cooperate with you on it. In an effort.
My only concern is right now, we've got an HVAC problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it truthful. Until we know, which I've heard no one state yet what the issue is, how are we off, what's going right, I'm not comfortable bringing in an architect again who's in the midst of an HVAC. I'm not saying it's his issue, but I'm saying we've got an issue.
Yeah, I get it.
Until we pinpoint, is it an engineering issue, it is an installer issue, is it an architect's issue, and now we're bringing them back again to do more?
I get it, yeah.
I'm
Jim,
not
do you want to give an
comfortable with
update, as long as Nancy segued
Yeah.
into that? Let's give an update.
We
where
went
the
through
HVAC is.
on,
19.
yeah, the 19th, we went through and we had Ian Dean and architect engineer went through on the 19th, and we walked through and looked at all these units, and they itemized the list together. I'm still waiting for that report right now. I actually spoke to him this morning. He's waiting to get it back, and then once we get that back, all parties involved are gonna meet and figure out how we're gonna run this and how it's gonna get corrected through their, you know, or not ideas, but their report back to us. So that's basically the game plan on it right now. I have not received.
We don't have our answers.
I don't have the answer, trust me, I want it more than you do, man. And,
I get it, I just.
and it's just one where if, you know, let's bring everybody together and let's sit down at the table and figure this problem out and go from there. We, you know, we paid for a system that wants to run right, we need it to run right. There's no other question, let's just make sure it runs right. So I get what you're asking too, and I want it. We
But
want
we
it more
don't.
than anybody else.
To go back to what you said, we don't have that answer yet, but I see where your concern is.
It's coming, so.
But I do
once
see
we
where
get
your
that-
concern is.
And on top of these costs, the life safety will incur many more costs that we don't even
Yeah,
know about.
you'll pay for them to come in and do that survey.
Right. And whatever they find will need to be taken care of,
And then-
mandated to be taken care of.
Yeah, and usually they will give you a project with some sort of window of time of when it's to be completed and a rough total of kind of what to expect the cost to be.
And that reminds me that also when we came on in 2015, we found out we were far behind a life safety. We had put off life safety, is that correct, Ed? And so we had not only to do our life safety, but we had life safety things to catch
The
up
first
on.
thing we
So
did when I got
that
here.
just ate up every intention of doing anything above and beyond and looking at athletics. So we just keep finding ourselves with more and more costs incurred, especially roofs and air handling units.
I think we gotta be more transparent. I mean, if that's 8 years ago, that was where we came in at, we gotta plan. Because if we don't plan, we're gonna keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And like I said, I've never seen that, but like I said, I love this, because I've never seen that.
This is
So
something
that's-
I started doing
that's
this year,
helpful
they asked, what
To see what,
came out of this
so we can
committee.
actually plan, because I feel like if we don't start planning and looking at our numbers of where we have to cut or what we have to do, we're not gonna do it. We can't. And we fiscally can't do it, so we've gotta figure out how we can do that.
Jim, does the architects drive that bus, or does the regional office drive the life safety inspection?
Architects.
I think the architects drive the inspection, but it goes, that's one of the questions I asked too, Ed, because my question became is, who answered, you know, they'll bring them in, run a health, life, safety deal, and everything goes through, we get all our answers back through the ROE. So I think, I don't know if I answered your answer correctly.
The
like-
process used to be that the ROE came through with the team and did the life safety inspection, and then it got handed off to the architects.
We go through once a year.
Projects. So I'm just
Two
asking,
different-
has it changed, or is that what
No,
we're
we go
doing?
through once a year for health, life, safety once a year. I set it up, I go through with the fire officials and the ROE to each building. We go through all our safety stuff. And then a 10-year I've never been through, so I don't know what the driving force. I want to say the architect sets it up with all the inspectors, and then that gets sent to the ROE, I believe, and then that's how we get our answers back.
I almost look at it as two different things. So Ed, like what you're talking about is, they come through once a year with that safety side inspection, where they're looking at the electrical outlets and, you
Mhm.
know, how stuff is stored and everything else. So that, you get that one done every single year, and then you get write-ups, and
Yep.
you got X amount of time to correct. The life safety survey, that one's driven more by the architect with the structural things that need to be done. Then they usually sit down with the ROE and kind of work on the times and the frames, and then what is going to, because then what that survey is done is filed with the state. And then you work through the IWAS to show how you pick those things off that are done through that life safety survey.
Yeah, I don't know if I answered your
Oh, you're fine.
question for that.
You answered it right. I had a question about a couple things on here. What does it mean when the required is in the architect's column?
That you'd need an architect
To design.
to design.
To design, not that they're recommending that particular item.
Well, that's
I
me.
misinterpreted what that was then.
Yeah, I put it on there as an architect's required to design that, or however we gotta do it. You know, I can't just draw up the driveway.
Okay.
But that's why I put it on there, like, we're gonna, you know, some of these you're gonna have to have an architect involved in the process.
So we also have a new law too, that we can have the design build, so they might change some of the parameters on that, but.
And until we get a hold on that to understand how
Yeah.
that's actually gonna work, but, you know.
My second question is on the HVAC. In the commercial setting that I was in, we would put placeholders for budgets, and then we would proactively replace them if there were an issue like a refrigerant going on, past life or refrigerant, or something would break down. But I was thinking as you did this, while I certainly would have had a budget list for each year for replacements, I don't know if I would take out, if we replaced a perfectly good operating unit. What was your philosophy gonna be on this?
I just looked at it through end of life. I mean, you know you're not gonna make it, I mean, if you're pushing these units at 30 years, you know you're, and the problem becomes is, one, to plan for it, because right now everybody knows that, you know, equipment is not readily available. So this is a 3-month deal. If you need something, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, so if you plan for it. But I just figured by, you know, these units are 20, 25 years old, we better start thinking about how they're gonna replace, or you're gonna have a whole high school of things going down, and the cost to have them repaired is probably gonna cost you more than buying a brand new. You know, basically, I don't know if you wanna call it a PM. I mean, I don't wanna take a perfectly good unit out neither, but at some point, you know, you keep repairing the unit, you're behind the power curve now. You know, what's our cost to replace a brand new one, and what's our cost to keep throwing thousands of dollars at a unit to make it run for 9 months?
We're gonna get trapped in a unit here real fast anyways, because R22 is pretty much gonna be impossible to get.
That's-
You can get it now, and every one
I-
of our units are R22.
That would have been my question.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're still running
another-
units with
Every one
R22,
of
then
them
that
have
would be.
R22.
That's
and
another
we
big
just
bulkhead.
paid through the nose to get some R22.
Yep,
Okay.
because the game changes on their side a lot, and that's what they want you to do.
Okay. For my way that I look at it, I would look at end of life R22 as being a different thing than if you were running a more up-to-date refrigerant and it was just a 12-year-old unit or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That I'm prioritizing. I guess the other thing from a final decision thing for me is you guys look at doing this. I would be much more comfortable if there were a placeholder for the facility or the track or whatever you want to say that for that, whether it's $200,000 a year or $300,000 a year, and that gets looked at as a prioritization with these other things. And I would also, I work towards deadlines. I work best towards deadlines. I guess I'd say it that way. I would sure like to see something in this plan that we have something for breaking ground on a track replacement by next March. What would it take to do, whenever the construction season would start next spring? But I would want to see something like that, and then start work. What would it take to do it? What would it take to, how would it affect these other items in here? Can you pull the SWOT analysis and start making it actionable? that, and give this committee and the board deadlines to meet, to say this is what I want to do, but I don't know if if we have more projects than what we have money for, but I don't feel that we have that quite in front of me yet to where I could make a decision. And I think those are the things that I would like to see is a little more detail on the, like the HVAC things.
See, and that's why Mike said to do the life safety now, because that'll have priority over all of us. All of us will be thrown away to do theirs first. So all you do is back everything up again.
I don't think you throw it away. I
No,
don't
it just
mean-
gets back.
It gets backed up to another year.
But it's, maybe, right. But, well, I think it's a good idea to bring it up a year, and so you're making a more informed decision. But I also think there's
Almost
more
you're saying a
definition.
little bit of everything getting addressed somehow, if there's a way to pick off some of these things. Hit a little bit of each.
Again, you're gonna go back, you know where I'm gonna go. We're in a deficit budget. So I'm all for having deadlines and meeting, I think that's great. I'm all about planning, or we're never gonna get there. But we gotta address our money. I mean, that's the first thing. I understand, we need lots of things. I drive by it every day. I get it. I ran on that track, and I'm not young. But, no. But we need to get our finances.
I don't
How
think it's
we
a-
can plan for it.
I don't think it's a do the one and then you do the other. I think you can work a parallel path on that.
I think that's.
Define what the projects are, and then let's,
I think that's
business
great.
services needs to work on how we get out of the budget deficit that we have.
Then I would ask that we meet, because we can't meet in June if we're not gonna get there if we're not meeting. We need to meet a lot, every month, because we gotta figure out our numbers.
Mike would like to bring that safety survey to the board? To
That
the
would
committee?
be-
A year?
I would recommend that at the March meeting, I bring at least, a recommendation to begin the life safety survey, if the board is comfortable with that.
Does anybody on the committee have any reservations about that?
I do. I wanna know how much Stoller's gonna charge us.
Okay.
I wanna know how much this is gonna be, because we are kicking out some checks. So I wanna know how much that's gonna entail from here.
So,
Okay.
So if he brings that to the board meeting, it's something that we can potentially vote on.
For discussion
As far
item.
as discussion,
What's gonna cost us.
I'll bring that.
Yeah.
I agree, I think it's a good idea, that just so we don't have a wrench thrown us in next year when it comes up, and we start moving on some of these things, and all of a sudden, we're in the middle of a project, and we can't afford to pay for it, so.
It's a good question.
Okay.
I'll get that. Okay.
All right, that brings us to ADA projects.
Yeah, so there's three that are out there, and we kind of hit two of them already in that plan that Jim and Dean shared. The two bathrooms. Really, the first bathroom is the one that I want to highlight, because we would have an opportunity if we can get that done. When I originally brought it in January, my hope was to get it done this summer. I don't know if that's going to be able to be the case. We will try. But again, this is one where you would have, we typically would run through the process of having the architect design something and then go off for an RFP for the bathrooms for a life skills bathroom at the high school. We know we also need one at the upper, as I explained. We also don't have an ADA compliant playground at the upper, so that at some point needs to be part of our long-range facility plan as well, too. I had those three things, just the architect go through, look, and give me his first gloss over what needs to be done. That was what I put in your packet, your handout. Because I know as we're getting more and more life skills students and they're going up through the system, that these are some of these ADA compliant things that we're running into. And this might be a way for us also to have some cost savings.
Okay. Just informational, yes?
It is informational. I guess I'm looking for direction to, if I can go ahead and begin design work. Do you want that done here? Would you like that done at the board meeting to get a bathroom rolling for the high school?
That's something you're trying to look at doing this summer? or?
I would love to. I'm worried that we're gonna be running really, really, really short on time by the time we go through the RFP process. But the other thing that Stacy and I talked about, and we're learning a little bit about this, is if you didn't want to go through the full architect process, you still have to do design work, but as of January 1, the design build process is now available for us too, where you can use a designer, put it out for you still have to go out to an RFP, but a design builder is really one encompassing group that basically oversees everything. Like it's their workers, it's their, and we've run into a little bit of finger pointing here with the HVAC systems, but with the design build, it's meant to not have change orders, and it's meant to be this one contractor that's really doing all of the work for you and your district and backing up to what they bid on. So that would be another option to consider.
Would be a good idea to start with a smaller project like that, see how that goes.
On a design build.
Yeah.
Thoughts, questions, comments?
Budgeted, non-budgeted, what I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, this one would be budgeted, we'd have to budget it into next year, because what you're hoping to do then is save some of your outplacement student costs for next year as well. The other thing that we've already written for, and we've gotten some money for, is there's a $50,000 matching grant, a state construction grant. We wrote that in already, we've been allotted that, we've got 2 years to use it. We were approved, I want to say right around Christmas time here. 23, yeah. We've got 2 years to use it, so even if we don't get it done this summer, it's something we can consider for next summer. But it's $50,000, we have to match the other 50 or the cost of it, or you get it back. So there would be $50,000 to help offset that cost. Then the other piece of that, when our discussion was this, is if now if you're able to bring some students back, you're also going to save some other money that way.
Mike, can you begin that process and bring that to the board, the next board meeting, rather than
Which
get approval
process?
to do it at all? Like begin that
Design build?
design build
Design
process
build.
and,
My
Get some
assumption
more
is there is a
information on it.
cost to the design. I don't think I'm going to be over any of my thresholds. There's a chance that maybe somebody would do it free of cost as a chance to try to get us in and maybe win some business. But if the board is okay with me getting that up and getting started, and I can get directed here, or from this committee, and they're fine with that move, I wouldn't be breaking limits, but I don't want to do it without the board knowing kind of what my intentions are.
And I would definitely like more information on it, as far as.
The design
what
build
the
process.
Design build process and what we might look at saving, or what the expenses, upfront expenses would be as far as the design and whatnot. Yeah, if that's something you're looking at getting done this summer, we need to.
I need to move
be
it.
moving on it last month.
Yeah, like I said, I was hoping to try to bring this one when we were gonna meet in January. So am I okay to go ahead and start that too, like with somebody, or would you rather have me go through the architect on this? Or do you want me to just would you rather go to something where I bring the information back and then we make a determination at a board meeting?
I'm with you, Brian, I'd like to see a design build. I think we got too many things in the air with too many high dollars right now, but we don't know where our issues lie.
Okay.
I don't wanna keep throwing, I'm not pointing, I don't know who did what, I don't know, that's what I'm saying. I don't wanna keep shoveling money, we don't know what's going on with it.
Can I clarify? Don't want to shovel more money toward a design build,
Design build, we want something different than what we're using.
So staying away from the architect.
Staying away from where we're at now.
Yes, until we get.
and maybe this is a
issues
project,
resolved.
we try something there.
Do you have a couple companies that you can reach out to?
Yeah, so we did, Performance Services came and talked to us on that. They were one of the representatives, some of our board members got a chance to talk to at the conference regarding solar.
Yeah, we
And
talked
Steve
about solar.
Kowalski is his name, super, super nice guy. He has done work for other districts in the area. They are a big design build. Most of their work has been done, what do you say, $700 million worth of work in Indiana, because
Yep.
Indiana's had design build for a while. And like you said, it's one point of contact there. that does a lot of the design. They do, then they run, you run the RFP process. When they take it, they oversee the project. They make sure that there's no change orders to it. They basically back the entire project the whole way through. That's supposed to be what it is. Our guess is this project is somewhere between 100 and 150,000, probably leaning towards the 150,000. But we thought this might be a smaller project to try that because, like you said, we've got a little bit going on here with the architect. It's a smaller project to try this, and if we don't have finger pointing in the end, which what we've got right now, and we don't have change orders is the big thing, is what we're trying to stay away from. And you've gone out through a bid process. This might be a project to try that, plus you got $50,000 coming from the state to help offset this project as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see what they had to offer. So, I mean, if you can bring more information, then if we need to have another facilities meeting, right after our next board meeting, say, let's get it done so we can get moving on it.
Okay.
Ed or Tom, any thoughts?
To Tom's point, the idea of getting some timelines in place, if we're gonna have a hope of getting this project done this summer, we need to get moving on it and get something going. If you don't get it done this summer, essentially, we're gonna shell out another $100,000+ on kids going other places during next school year, and it just compounds the problem. So, I guess what I'm asking the group to do is not set so many obstacles in place that would keep us from getting something done this summer if we could.
Tom?
Streamline it.
I'm going to take a slightly different tact on this. In a public session, I don't want to know the vendors that we think and are pointing fingers at each other. And that may be reserved for a executive session to where we could have a frank discussion about that. I would like, it seems like we're going away from somebody because there may be a finger pointed at them, and that may be a way, and I'm a little mixed here. I don't want to discuss it out here if there's a chance that there's blame to say, and in my view, that would be an appropriate close or executive discussion, because I'm torn a little bit as to how can we not, this seems like a pretty easy error to troubleshoot and to figure out the 3 or 4 or 2 or 1 players that may be involved, and I feel that I don't know that, and I feel now it hinders a decision to maybe go with the architect on this, and so maybe wasn't what you were looking for on a
Okay.
design build thing, but that's my
Mike,
my issue right here.
You're thinking that potentially by our next meeting, you could have met with a design build person, got
I can get you some information about that. no
information,
problem.
and maybe by that time you will have had the conversation with the parties involved to have cleared that up, and we could make a more informed decision?
Hopefully.
That's the plan.
For me, I mean, as far as my opinion goes, I'm kind of excited to try it. the
I'd
design
like to
build.
try the design
Just,
build also,
you know,
just
you
to
have
try it.
One point of contact.
Small
and
project.
It's they own it from start to finish, so that, my opinion isn't based on the issues that we had in the previous, project here, but more so if this is a new opportunity for us to potentially save money and maybe have better results here also.
Just to be clear, I'm not pointing fingers, so I said, I'm not pointing fingers, I don't know who did what, there's no, we got a problem. So until we get addressed the problem, I'm just not comfortable continuing on doing the same thing. I'm not pointing fingers, because I don't know, no one's told us where the issue lies. All I know is there was a budget on them, and we laid out in excess of $2 million for something that we haven't accomplished. Blame my ride, so I'm kind of with Joe and Brian, I think have someone else come and take control of it from beginning to end, where we don't have those change orders coming through that we don't know, and things moving that we aren't aware of. I think it's a good idea.
And to that point, if you feel that this is a good pilot project to try it on, I think since we're in the middle, I'm all for it.
Okay.
I would be all for it. But I would like to see something ready for if that would be appropriate, for something to the next board meeting. If it has to be confidential, it has to be confidential, but I would like to see a little more detail on where we really think the issue is with our HVAC.
Okay.
And where we're at to resolve it.
So Jim, the design build timeline would look like what? You'd have something back for the March board meeting, then there would need to be another facilities meeting after that to essentially build a request for bid, right? And then bids would need to sit for 45 days, right, before we could pick a contractor, and now we're in May.
Yeah, we're really pushing it as far as getting things too.
We got 95 days, you know, from today. I mean, school's out, you know, May 28th, I mean, June 1.
When's our next board meeting?
We have to be signed, sealed, delivered, and let's go. I mean, that's how it's gonna have to work. I mean, it's not, we can't get numbers to you yet, however it has to work, I don't, you know, and I'm learning it new, like with Mike, I mean, it came to us, and I'm like, okay, a few questions I always had about design build is, okay, who's designing it?
And I just want to make sure we're dead clean on the process.
So am I, and that's why the conversations me and Mike had, and I'm like, okay, so let's say we have 3 contractors that are design build. Great. Who makes the design that we're all bidding? You know, I have questions for these guys when we sit down with them, because it's not like I'm taking a set of prints that North Boone built, and I'm handing it to these 3 guys. So I'm gonna have 3 different contractors making their own assumptions on the information that I give them, or we give them, and say, okay, give me a cost on this, which it's gonna be relative to, it's a bathroom and this is what we wanted. But is it, you know, we wanna make it as close to apples as we can, but my question on the front side is design build. So, sorry about that. Who's designing it? You know, they're gonna probably have their own in-house to design it and build it. Well, contractor A is gonna do it, and contractor B is gonna have his own set. So I don't know the in particulars or what's the right way to do that outside of, you know, there's not a, so to say, a general contractor going, okay, here's the prints that I came up with, this is what we want. At some point, we have to cross that threshold and say, okay, here's what we're looking for, bid it. This is what you want to design and build. And that's questions I have for contractors that we bring in, because I don't know the, you know, it's brand new to January 1. I don't know what the concept behind it is, you know.
Do you have any confidence that if we go down the design build path that we can get something done for summer?
I think my end, you keep everything in one house. This is for me. You have one point of contact. They handle it. Once we hand the torch to them and say, this is what we want to do, and we choose whomever, I think, you know, and I'm not biased either way. I'm just saying I think it's a lot less, it's one phone call, and there's an issue, problem solved, we take care of it. You know, I think when we're putting a print out with multiple people, you know, it's their design and build, so if we come in and say, hey, we want this toilet rotated 90 degrees, we make one phone call, it's done, here's your new print, here's your new design, let's go.
So, just to be clear.
I did ask that directly.
Are you advocating for the architect to do it, or for us to go down design build?
Have all our information, all our.
Either way, I mean, design build,
For that to get it approved.
it's new to us. I mean, especially here. I mean, everybody's,
Because we're in a tight
the state of
timeline.
Illinois had to have an architect
Pressures.
forever, and that's how everything ran. Now this new process comes in, I don't know the ins and outs of it yet. You know, I don't wanna say, yeah, I'm all design build, because, you know, there's questions, just like I said, I don't know the answers to that. Like, you know, like I said, start off the print, how do we, who designs it? You know, we gotta have to have some sort of focus on what we're trying to accomplish. But do we put that together and hand it to somebody? Or do they come to me and say, okay, here's our design, and then we have basically 3 different designs? You know, and I just don't know that, and I'll try to figure that out on my end. But it's just one question that I think it's a streamlined process, and like you said, we've got 90 days, so if it's a go, you know, I know we got 90 days, you know, and that's to start, and then you got basically 60 to finish it.
So you think we can have most of that information by our next board meeting, and then maybe let's schedule facilities for the week after it, just so it.
I'll do what I can.
We can
Yeah.
cancel it if we don't
I'll do what I
have it,
can.
but that way it's on the books, and we
I'll
have
do
the
what I can.
potential of moving forward on it, so.
Yeah.
So we'll schedule facilities for the 26th. Everybody's good on that, that way we can
26th.
move forward on. if
26th
there's a
spring break, and I'm not here.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Can't
man.
the 26th, that's spring break, and I'm counting out of time.
Spring break, okay. So
Let
we're
me,
looking at the, like the
I'll
second
work with
then?
you guys on a date, because I'll have to, I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Okay.
And
Okay.
let me get the information on what we need first.
I was just wanting to get some on the book so people can plan and it's there, so, you know, we can always cancel
What's
it
our,
if we don't
what's the
have all
date
the
on our board
information.
meeting?
19th March.
I mean, if you think you guys can get the information before that, we can schedule a facilities meeting before that, but, you know, I know you guys got a lot of stuff on your plate here too, so.
19th, 7 days in front of that as
Well,
well.
why don't you guys make some calls and get some
Give me
ideas?
2 days.
And then
What
we
about,
can,
what about the week in front?
yeah, I mean, I'd be up for that. I just didn't want to push. I mean, it's a tight timeline. I know you guys got a lot going on, so. So why don't you spend this week figuring out
What you can get.
what you can get and.
Together.
Then we can schedule a facilities meeting around
So
that.
if I needed the week in front, you could approve it, the board.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. We try to do that.
You good, Jimbo?
That's 2 weeks, Jim.
You got
Just let
plenty.
me
Jim would
know,
love
give me
that
a date
time.
when you want it. We'll run it back, I'll run it backwards, how's that?
All
I've been
right.
thinking about it. Jim will love that time.
Chad, just let me know when you want it, and if I drop it off the day before, I win.
Heather, Miss Eisted, did you have any thoughts on that? I didn't want to leave you out.
No, they renovated the life skills bathroom in Poplar Grove a couple years ago. They did it over summer. And, I don't know if they looked at some of the plans or look at how they built the life skills room bathroom in Poplar Grove.
Okay.
And
Well, they've got 2 weeks, so they might be interested in seeing your plans. Any other comments, questions about the ADA projects? All right, any other announcements?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Then we are ready to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, folks. Get home quickly.
Be safe, guys.
Keep the storm. See you tomorrow morning.
Yeah. So, hey, wait a minute, Jake.